Well, good evening, everybody. It's Bobby Harvey live at the Ottumwa Amtrak station here in Ottumwa, Iowa. And we are waiting for the westbound California Zephyr here tonight. Train's running about, well, as of right now, about 20 minutes late. They left Mount Pleasant about 40 minutes late, so they'll probably be here within the next 15, 20 minutes or so. This is my first live stream of the new year as we kind of begin live stream season again, if you will. I never try to not do any live streams during the winter. I just, for whatever reason, I don't. Maybe this year I will, but for the past 2 years, I started this in 2023, these live streams, and I didn't do any of the winter of 2023, 2024, and did the same thing last year. Did a few live streams, not as many last year as I did in 2023, and then didn't do any over the winter, and here we are again. It's about mid-March, and it is still light outside at 7:17 at night. Of course, this is the first full day of daylight savings time, so we have a little extra light at the end of the day now, which is great if you want to see the westbound Amtrak come into Ottumwa, because now, providing the train is not too late, it is during daylight hours. During most of fall and winter, it is at after dark. I've got a lot of you commenting now. A lot of you are already here watching. Welcome. Familiar names and faces that always tune in for my live stream, so thank you guys. A-Train just commented that number 5, which is the train we're waiting on, lost air after crossing 2502, the control point. So it went into emergency, I guess. So it might be a little while longer before they get here. So as we're waiting for Amtrak, I'll kind of fill you guys in on what we're actually seeing here. Of course, we're looking pretty much straight down the brand new platforms that they completed last year. It's essentially done. All the platform work is now done, and kind of a change from their original plans. The original plans were they were going to upgrade both platforms, this one we're standing on now and the middle platform, and for whatever reason, those plans changed, and they are going to remove the middle platform completely, leaving just this one platform. But that's okay, because BNSF has installed new crossovers just east and west of here, which is a similar arrangement that Amtrak has in Fort Madison, Iowa, the route of the Southwest Chief, where Amtrak will use the platform closest to the station, and that's it. They will never have to use the outer track, ideally. Of course, there'll probably be some instances where they might have to, but typically speaking, they will only use this platform. So the middle one will be removed, and I'm not for certain, but I am wondering if BNSF will also straighten out Main 2 so that it's right next to Main 1, instead of bowing out where the platform used to be once they get it removed. I think they might actually do that, but we'll see. So my live streams in 2023 and some of last year kind of showed the work they were doing down here in the very early stages, and now it is completely done. It's taken a while, but the end result is very, very nice. Obviously, they have reused the old platforms, sandblasted them, repainted them, put on a brand new, very nice wooden roof, and put them up on these little concrete pillars so the bottom of the platform will not deteriorate like they used to. You can kind of get a good comparison on how the old platforms were. As you can see, the bottom of them there on the old platform just really deteriorates, especially when they pour down treatment for snow and stuff, when it's really snowy out. So putting them up on these concrete blocks will prevent any of that decay on the new platforms. And they've also put in this fencing. I'm not really a huge fan of fencing at train stations, but this actually looks pretty good. They did a good job, and it's a good color too. It's not a bad fence. And of course, as you can see, it is tall enough to do its job, but it's not so tall that you can't get pictures over the top of it. This is just my regular tripod that I use with my full video equipment, and you can get pictures right over the top of it. In fact, down at the end of the platform down here, which I'll kind of pan down there right now before the train gets here. As we pan this way, we can see the water plant. And you might not be able to see it down here because there's one of the poles in the way, but the fence kind of goes, yeah, you can see it. The fence goes out, and there's kind of a little kind of gated area down there on the end. As you can see, there's a warning sign down there. It says, authorized personnel only, which is a very common sign to see in Amtrak stops, especially in big cities and stuff. I can actually set up my camera right up next to that gate, still be on the platform, still be not past that sign, and your camera's right up against it on a tripod. You're right over the top of it, so it does not obstruct your view at all. So again, even though I'm not a big fan of fencing, this is not a bad fence. And of course, we've got the Amtrak signage that they put back up, and a very, very nice platform with the safety tread on the end and a new stripe. And this is actually a brand new platform. This is not a redo of the old platform, which they did back in 2007. They poured new asphalt on the original platform. You can kind of see where they did it there, that looked really nice after they did it. But yeah, the difference of, well, let's see, well over 15 years of deterioration. It looks not much different than the platform did before they redid it then. So it's really old. I mean, that's literally putting asphalt on the original new platforms when the station was remodeled in the 50s. But this platform is completely new from the ground up. It is a brand new concrete platform, and it kind of has a lip on the end of it, or near the tracks. And so it gives maintenance of way crews a little more room to, like if they were going to replace ties and do work on the tracks, it gives them a lot more room to actually do that. I mean, in a way, this platform is floating, if you will. There was two concrete beams that go along the length of the platform, and then the platform just pretty much sits right on top of that. So it's better for drainage too. So in the long run, it's going to last a lot longer than the original platform did, without deteriorating so significantly, as you can see there. And there's the Ottumwa station. As we can see, the old CB&Q Hudson steam locomotive, number 3001, is directly behind the station, or in front of the station, depending on which way you look at it. Streetwise, that would be the front, but trackside, that would be the back. Up to interpretation. That is the Ballingall Park. That is right on the other side of the station there, where the steam engine is. 3001 has been there for many years. It was cosmetically restored around the turn of the 21st century, like 99, 2000, 2001, somewhere in there. Been a little deterioration, you can see, of course, in the past 20 years, but it still looks pretty good for a essentially stuffed and mounted locomotive. But it's great that Ottumwa has that. It's great that the Burlington route donated all those engines. Ottumwa has one. Oh, you're correct, A-Train. Well, bonus train, folks. Thank you for tipping me off there, A-Train. We got a train coming up on our back. We will get back to our discussion of 3001 here momentarily. So we're waiting on the Zephyr. This is a Zephyr video, but we've got some bonus freight action coming east through the station right now. Now, to answer your question, Mark, we are still waiting on the Zephyr. They should be here any minute, hopefully. Here we got platform lights now on. All right, we got some bonus freight footage tonight as we wait for the Zephyr. Now, A-Train just said that it's still stopped near Fairfield as of 7:20, so yeah, we could be here for a while, folks. Hopefully they get their problems figured out. And just like that, we lost our light pretty quick. But one of the nice things about this new platform that we can see now is that it has brand new, really nice, really bright LED lights. And they are made to look like the old lights. So it kind of preserves that ambiance of the old lamps on the old platform, which are still lit, but it provides much, much better light, which is great for pictures. So you could come down here pretty much any time of year, even in wintertime, and see Amtrak and get really good light on the train. It is kind of nice in a way that the train is a little late because we're able to see what it's like in fall and winter to see the train down here. It's kind of neat. And it's not very cold out here. We've been having temperatures in the mid to upper 50s today. Pretty nice day for the beginning of March. So apparently the Zephyr has gotten even later. It should have been here by now last time I checked, but apparently they lost their, went into emergency, I'm guessing, around Fairfield, and they're still trying to get that figured out. Which reminds me of a story. Many years ago, in 2015, my sister and I went to Chicago on the Zephyr, and we came back, and the train was kind of plagued with problems all the way from Chicago back to Ottumwa. We didn't get back to Ottumwa until, like, I would like to say close to 11 o'clock. So the train between Chicago and here, which is not very far, it's only about 280 miles, the train lost over 5 hours, or 4 or 5 hours. And we were stopped in Galesburg for a long time. And as we found out, as we finally continued west, there was a lot of flooding going on. So some of the tracks west of Ottumwa were flooded, and BNSF was trying to get them reopened. And they had a train out there that was helping to get the line reopened. It was like a work train or a ballast train or something. And it derailed and blocked the line. And of course, we were already heading west of Galesburg by this point, because I guess BNSF gave us the go-ahead to go ahead and come on west. By the time we got to Burlington, we found out that this other train had derailed and totally blocked our route. So we were stopped in Burlington. The crew started to tell us all about this, and they were contemplating having the engines run around the train and take us back to Galesburg, and then I presume either bus us all or detour the train around the derailment site. So my sister and I were getting off in Ottumwa, so we're kind of freaking out thinking, well, what are we going to do if they're going to actually send this train back to Galesburg? And granted, we were in Burlington, not very far away from Ottumwa. I mean, maybe an hour driving time. So we were tempted to get off the train, which you can't really, I mean, they don't really let you just get off the train without having a really, really, really good reason to do so. We were tempted to call our mom and have her come and pick us up and bring us back to Ottumwa because we were so close. And I was talking to the conductor about all this because I really didn't want to go back to Galesburg and then go who knows where and get home at who knows when. And the conductor told me that they gave us the go-ahead to continue on to Ottumwa. And so we were relieved of that, finally left Burlington, and we were kind of limping along, kind of slowly, which we really hadn't had any mechanical problems up to that point. And so in Fairfield, coincidentally, our train went into emergency, and we were in Fairfield probably 15, 20 minutes trying to figure out what happened. And I thought we hit somebody or a car. I guess the train just went into emergency for just some strange reason. And finally, we got to Ottumwa 4 or 5 hours late. But it was kind of aggravating. Hopefully they're coming soon. This might be a bust. I hope not. Air hose popped in, knocked the PTC out. According to J-Max official, it just commented, thank you. And that's always a problem. PTC can sometimes take a while to boot back up. Oh, he's on board 5 now. Okay. Cool. Get some live updates.
You're going to have to wait a little bit because they'll get delayed even more.
Yeah. I heard they got like PTC issues in Fairfield somewhere, I think.
We've got good sources because I don't even know that.
There's a guy on the train right now that's texting me, so.
Okay. You got your little network going.
Yep. Well, and it looks like, according to this signal, we might have another freight train while we wait. I think that's a signal I can see to the east, and it looks like it is at approach. So there might be another freight coming through before we get Amtrak. J-Max official just said we are on the move now, finally. Okay. So we're going to go back through some of these comments and answer them really quick. See how far back we are. Yep, Dakota, first one that posted. Hello. Welcome. Nate says hello. James from Hamilton, Ohio, another regular to my live streams. Welcome. Yep, he says he's already looking forward to Old Threshers. Me too. Speaking of that, I just got my Old Threshers video posted to YouTube yesterday. So if you guys haven't checked that out, be sure to look for it. Yeah. Yeah, Dakota asks, Have you ever thought of streaming down in Fort Madison sometime? Oh yeah, definitely. I actually have gotten a lot of footage over the years of trains in Fort Madison that I've never used and never posted. I'm thinking of eventually making a huge, compilation video of all the trains I've gotten in Fort Madison over the years, and it's a lot. Just for whatever reason, I just haven't had time or the priority to get them all published on YouTube, but I will eventually. I've gotten a lot of good stuff over the years. Just a few of the things that I think of off the top of my head. I got a train with the Norfolk Southern Heritage locomotive on it. Wasn't leading, but it was in the lash-up, along with some of the original GE blue Tier 4 locomotives that were in the same train. Several special things on Amtrak, a lot of heritage engines, a lot of really neat consists, and a lot of heavy traffic. That's one thing about Fort Madison, is it is possible, even today, but especially in years past, it is possible to see a lot of action in very, very short periods of time. Now, that's sometimes the case here in Ottumwa, and it's even more so now after the merger of Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern. There's a lot more traffic on the CPKC here in town, the old Milwaukee. So if we look down the tracks, and I don't know if you guys can see it from this vantage point, so you can see the conductor walking down the platform there. He was talking to me briefly a few minutes ago. I don't know if you can see the signal down there or not. Let's zoom in. No, not from here, but I can. It's just right around the pole from where the camera's set up. If I had the camera like a couple inches further south, you'd be able to see it. I kind of touched on that subject last year when I was making these live streams, kind of driving around town, looking for trains. BNSF was in the process of putting in the east crossover on the east side of the station here. And they also set up some more signals and extended the beginning and end of CTC to that new set of signals. So now, not only do we have sets of signals west of the station, but also east of the station. Which is really nice when you're watching trains, because you have a surefire indicator that there's something else coming. Because they're all CTC signals, so if something is green, you know that the dispatcher has lined something through, that there will be some sort of movement soon. Usually it's, 20, sometimes 30 minutes after the signal actually goes green. You can definitely tell that it is nice out here because it's almost dark, and the robins and birds are still chirping really happily. It's a nice sound. Spring is definitely on the way. The robins have made their return. Seen quite a few of them the past few days. So the signal east that I mentioned earlier, just a few moments ago, is at approach. So something else is going to come through going east. So look at our signals to the west really briefly here. Step away for a second. Our signals to the west are all red, which obviously will not affect Amtrak's arrival into the station, but it might affect their departure. I'm guessing they'll probably be lined through here pretty soon. Yep, the signal to the east just went green. So, well, we might get another freight train. We will probably get another freight train before Amtrak is here. So for those of you that have just tuned in, Amtrak is still not here. They left Mount Pleasant at about, a little after 6:45. So they should have been here by now, probably about 15, 20 minutes ago. But they had some issues around Fairfield. One of our posters here, JMax Official, is on the train right now, And he said that they lost, the air hose popped out, so they went into emergency, I'm guessing, and the PTC knocked the PTC out. So they have to reload that, and I guess they're slowly making their way west now. And as I said at the beginning of the live stream, we'll go for probably about a few more minutes after the train leaves, and we'll call it quits. Obviously, the train's running late. So I was planning on running the stream about another 15 minutes after Amtrak leaves. We might just end it after Amtrak leaves tonight, since it's already running late. Chris, is this just Amtrak? Well, we are getting Amtrak. They're going to be here eventually, about another 20 minutes the way it looks. But we're also getting freight trains, whatever trains are coming by in the meantime. So to finish my little talk on the Hudsons, the CB&Q Hudsons, the Burlington route donated quite a few of these. Off the top of my head, there are at least 4 that have been donated to museums in Iowa, Illinois. Some of them are in stations like this. 3001, obviously, is right there in front of the Ottumwa station. 3006, I think it's 3006, is at the station in Galesburg. And I believe it's 3004 is in Burlington. And then there's another one. I don't know what the number is off the top of my head. There's another one that is at the Illinois Railroad Museum. There might be more, but those are the ones that I can think of off the top of my head that have been preserved. (3007). Yep, that's the one at the Illinois Railroad Museum. Yep, that sounds right. Of course, none of them are operational. It'd be neat if one was, but you never know. I mean, there's a lot of people that thought that a big boy would never run again, and of course, all of you know how that went. 4014 is alive and well. It's 8:06. About 20 minutes from now.
Well, what's the latest?
8:06.
8:06.
Yep. Another freight train coming now. We'll see what it is. We're here at the station waiting. Yes, welcome, Chris. We've got the BNSF and also the CPKC here in Ottumwa. BNSF's Ottumwa subdivision and CPKC's Ottumwa subdivision going to the north, and going south, the Kansas City Ottumwa subdivision heading towards Kansas City, which was formerly Canadian Pacific's Laredo subdivision. And I'm pretty sure they renamed it because there was, to avoid confusion with the Kansas City Southern Laredo subdivision, which is a totally different line. All right, JMAX official just says we're going through Fairfield, so they're on their way. Water plant there. And as you can see back in the background, the viaduct's all lit up. All right, we're gonna pan around and get this next eastbound freight train. So you can see the sunset, kind of a nice scene. And even with trains on Main 2, the platforms here on Main 1 really light up the scene, so we'll be able to see the train very nicely. Still waiting on Amtrak. They're coming soon. Yep, conductor out there who's waiting to get on Amtrak is kind of giving a visual inspection of the trains as they go by and letting them know that everything looks good. Which the crews of different trains, they always do that for each other. They always look out for one another. Because obviously on very long trains, there are going to be things that the engineer and conductor up on the head end cannot see. Opposing trains might be able to let them know of a problem. They'll be able to stop in time if something was awry. So, Amtrak is on its way, hopefully within the next 10 minutes or so. Now, Mark asks, I wonder if he is the caretaker. I believe that's one of the conductors. He's in full Amtrak uniform. Now, it was in the past, I'd like to say maybe the past 10 years or so, that Amtrak changed their crew bases just a little bit to where engineers and conductors change here in Ottumwa. It used to be only the engineers changed, and then the conductors would change in Omaha. Now, which it makes more sense to line it up with the engineer changes. Now, both the engineers and conductors change here in Ottumwa after bringing the train from Chicago, and then they run all the way through Omaha to Lincoln, Nebraska, and that is the next crew change point. So I'm assuming the way it was before, the conductors would run from Chicago to Lincoln, and then from Lincoln to, well, probably, I don't know, Denver? I don't know if they'd go that far or not. I feel like we've had this conversation in these live streams before, of wondering what the crew districts are further west of here. I know from Denver, it is from Denver to Grand Junction, so that'd be all the way through the Rockies. Grand Junction, Colorado. And then from Grand Junction to, I think it might be Elko or Winnemucca, Nevada. And then, well, maybe not. I don't think it would be Salt Lake City. It might be Salt Lake City, the next crew district. And then from there to Reno, Nevada. And then from Reno, crew takes it all the way, the rest of the way to California. Emeryville, which is the end of the western end of the line for the California Zephyr, which is a suburb of Oakland, which traditionally was the original endpoint of the Zephyr. The Emeryville station is actually less than a mile away from the old Oakland station that Amtrak used to stop at, which still exists, but it's obviously it's not used for passenger trains anymore. I think it's like a special events venue now. It was closed and essentially abandoned for years, and somebody revitalized it. So, I mean, if you're on the California trains, or if you're on the Amtrak Coast Starlight and you go south of Emeryville towards San Jose and Oakland, Jack London Square, you actually go past the old Oakland station that the Zephyr used to terminate at. As far as I know, the old platforms, which are kind of like, they almost look like they're elevated, similar to these, but like they're up a second level almost. Almost like there was an elevated set of tracks there at one time. I think they're still there, but obviously there's no tracks leading into that station anymore. The Emeryville station was built by Amtrak in the mid-90s, and Amtrak has been using it ever since. And that is the western terminus for this train. It's a pretty small station. I'd actually say that it's smaller than the Ottumwa station. It's a single-level station. Has a pretty spacious waiting room, as I've been there several times in my trips to California on the Zephyr. And even though it is pushing 30 years old, it is still a very modern station compared to this station or some of the others along the California Zephyr route. Whereas obviously the eastern terminus of the train is Chicago Union Station, very historic, very important station for Amtrak, one of the busiest. Of course, the busiest train station in America, I'm pretty sure, is the Pennsylvania station in New York City. It's the busiest passenger rail terminal in America, if I'm not mistaken. But the busiest railroad hub overall, combination of freight and passenger trains, is Chicago. Chicago is the busiest railroad city in the United States. The second busiest is Kansas City. But obviously, most of that traffic in both cities is freight trains, not passenger. But there's still quite a few passenger trains, obviously, going through Chicago. Still a few in Kansas City, not near as many as back in the day, but there's still some. But not near as many as Chicago. In fact, there are only a few Amtrak long-distance trains that do not have some sort of connection in Chicago. One of the more recent Amtrak stories, which I'm pretty sure I think I talked about in the last live stream or maybe the one before, was the combination of the Capital Limited and I think it's the Silver Meteor, to create a new version of the Floridian, a direct train from Chicago to Florida. And so now there's even more Amtrak trackage that serves Chicago. As A Train reminds me, obviously, that Chicago has many more passenger trains besides just Amtrak. Probably the lion's share of passenger traffic in Chicago are Metra commuter trains, and the vast majority of trains that Metra operates go into and out of Chicago Union Station. There are actually 4 terminal stations in downtown Chicago. Union Station is probably one of the most historic, and obviously the most busy. There are 3 others. The Ogilvie Transportation Center, I think I'm pronouncing that right, which is the former Northwestern station that Metra Union Pacific Line trains serve, which is very close to Union Station. It's like a couple blocks away. In fact, just north of Union Station at Canal Street and, what's the other street? There are 2 streets very close to the northern end of Union Station where if you stand there at the railroad crossing, you can get trains coming out of Union Station and going overhead, leaving the Ogilvie train station, the former Northwestern station. The other 2 stations, we have Millennium Station, which is an underground station under Millennium Park in Chicago that the Metra Electric trains use. Metra Electric goes kind of on the lake side of Chicago, going south from downtown, kind of down towards the Blue Island area, down that way. The line kind of splits and goes 2 different ways. Also, trains that serve Millennium Station in Chicago are the South Shore commuter trains that run east into Indiana. And I've ridden that line very briefly last time I went to the Museum of Science and Industry. It's a really cool museum in Chicago. Has a lot of trains there too. Probably the most prominent exhibit in the Museum of Science and Industry is the original Burlington route Pioneer Zephyr train. The original Zephyr is preserved indoors in the museum. That exhibit isn't open all the time, but I actually went through it when I was a kid back in the late 90s, and it is really neat. Last time I was at the museum was in, I believe, 2017. So it's been a few years. Usually I'm doing other stuff when I'm in Chicago. Now, the 4th terminal in downtown Chicago that passenger trains still serve is the, my mind went blank, LaSalle Street Station. That is the former Rock Island, or station that was served by Rock Island trains, and several others too, but mainly Rock Island. And Metra trains on the Rock Island line that go down to Joliet still use LaSalle Street Station. And I've actually been in all of those terminals except Ogilvie. I've never taken any trains out of Ogilvie. I hope I'm pronouncing that right for anybody familiar with the Chicago stations. It's the old Northwestern station. Now, both LaSalle and Ogilvie have been transformed. They're not really the grand stations that they used to be. A large portion of the original head houses were demolished for, development, skyscrapers, and other things in downtown Chicago. Even parts of Union Station no longer exist. There was a big grand concourse that went out above the tracks at Union Station originally, and they tore it down a long time ago to make way for skyscrapers and other things above. But obviously the original waiting room area, the Great Hall, still is there, and that's really most of the original station that's still there. The rest of it, which is more modern, is kind of down below kind of the track level, which is kind of like a basement. which is a little more modern. They revitalized a lot of it in 1991. Still about the same as it was then. And it has a lot of the more modern waiting areas for the commuter trains, and also a lot of the food and food court and other shops and eateries and things. Now, Millennium Station, for being a smaller station, I was actually kind of surprised when I was down there several years ago. They actually have quite a bit of food and options down there, kind of like Union Station does. I don't know what's in Ogilvy. I think they have like a few restaurants and things in there. LaSalle, there's like a little like kiosk, like a food kiosk, and that's about it. And when we were there last time, my wife and I, it was closed. And the waiting area in LaSalle Street is very, very small. Only about 4 or 5 tracks still there. So it is 8:03. We are still waiting on the California Zephyr. We're 48 minutes into our live stream, and the train should be getting pretty close now. Last comment, which was at 7:57, J-Max official, who is on the train tonight. 7:57, that was, about 6 minutes ago. They were going through agency, so the train is getting close. And west of us here, the signals down at the Diamond Crossing with CPKC. The main one signal is now green, so Amtrak is lined through Ottumwa. Now in Mount Pleasant, I was watching the train come in on the Mount Pleasant rail cam that's operated by Steel Highway Rail Cams here on YouTube. If you guys aren't subscribed to that channel, you're missing out on a lot of action. It's a great site that has a lot of rail cams in this area. Mark asks, how close is agency to Ottumwa? It's about, give or take, about 9 miles. There is a defect detector on the railroad, 271.3, that is just east of agency. And just west of where we are, just west of the station, which I'll kind of pan down here, the Gateway Drive crossing is down there in the dark. We can actually see the signal down there, which is now green. The signal box, the crossing signal box, you can see all lit up. That is Gateway Drive, and right past there is milepost 280. So agency is about, give or take, 9 miles from here. So a train going 79 miles an hour until you get to the edge of Ottumwa, which the speed limit goes down to about 45, and then goes down to 30 when it crosses the CPKC. It's not going to take very long for the train to get here. I would say within the next few minutes, we will be seeing the train pull in finally, after almost an hour of waiting. I originally anticipated that I'd only have about 20 or 30 minutes before the train got here, but that's railroading. Murphy's Law is alive and well in the railroad world. If anything can go wrong, it will. You got to prepare for that. But again, this allows you guys to see what it's like to watch the train after dark, which is pretty much all you get in late fall and all of winter. With the time change, if the train's on time, it'll be during the day. Pretty much all the way until the time changes again in the middle of October. Of course, by then, it's about dark around 7 o'clock regardless. Usually the end of September, very beginning of October is the last chance to be able to see the train, if it's on time, in daylight hours. So the conductor's still standing on the platform down there, and looks like I can see a few people coming out of the station now, so the train should be getting close. Approaching Ottumwa now, says J-Max official. And this will probably be Of course, this live stream is mainly just intended for Amtrak. We got a couple of bonus freight trains. So once Amtrak leaves, since it's late, we'll probably end the live stream after Amtrak goes. But it's not even here yet, so the whole reason for this live stream hasn't even occurred yet. So those of you that are here, stay tuned. We got Amtrak coming in very shortly here in Ottumwa. You can see some glint on the tracks down there from the headlight. They're on their way. So for those of you that tuned in almost an hour ago, the whole purpose of this live stream for tonight is now arriving on track 1 here in Ottumwa. Westbound California Zephyr, running over an hour late, finally arriving in Ottumwa.
I agree. BNSF, couple of bad, show. Dispatch, King 7, I got 76049 to get back to the
So yeah, we were on time, and then between Galesburg and Burlington, we had like 7 freight trains that were all stacked up because of how close it goes down. Wow. So we eventually got around that. We passed all of them. Then as we were crossing over, we were on 2. That's the freight train. As we were crossing over to 1, into Fairfield, we just walked our home. Like right at the crossing at the and they found it. take more videos. My favorite one was when the four came through.
Yep.
So yeah, I was actually on that train to Chicago to Galesburg. Was able to get a picture of it. You know, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Such a big one. You know? So yeah, great video.
That's J-Max Official, folks. Thanks for giving me the updates. There's their whistle off, the warning whistle for everybody to get back on the train. Engine 50, second engine on the train, running the head end power, and the front engine is P42 number 7. And there goes the train into the night. Safe travels, Zephyr, on your way west. Maybe you'll make up in time. Of course, the train is only a little more than an hour late, so they could easily make up that time along the way if they don't lose any more. So that was J-Max Official that came out and greeted me and waved to the camera as he walked towards the station, giving me some updates on what was going on out there on the railroad tonight. Apparently they were crossing over from Main 2 to 1 at 2502. An air hose popped, and they fixed it, but the PTC took forever to boot back up, which sounds like the way it always goes. PTC can sometimes be more of a headache than an actual advantage, but that's another story for another time. I'm not a railroader, but that just seems like what I've observed over the years. So, well, that's it. The Amtrak has departed the station. It is 8:18. It's running a little late. But we finally got to see it, and we got to see some bonus freight trains as well. So this is just the beginning. I'm planning on doing these live streams again frequently, along with many other live streams, including more rail fanning, where I'm in the car driving around, more Amtrak, and maybe some other live streams as well. Maybe with my model trains down in the basement. I only did that once. Might do that again soon. And something else I'm entertaining is maybe doing some live streams of some of the train simulations, some of the train games that I have on the computer. If I can figure out how to live stream those, which I have a pretty good idea of how to do it. But Dakota says you're cutting in a little bit. Well, hopefully I'm back now. Anyways, as I was saying, more in the future, more Amtrak streams, more rail fanning streams, and more a couple other different types of streams that I'm thinking of doing in the future. Some of my train layout downstairs, running the O-gauge trains, and also maybe live streaming some of the train games that I play on the computer. And maybe even some other games that aren't necessarily related to trains, but they are also train related as far as transportation goes, ground transportation, which we'll talk more about that when and if I do live streams of those, gaming streams. We'll see. Now also, one more thing I want to mention before I go for the night is that in June, I will be celebrating my 20th year of making videos. I made a few videos before 2005, but 2005 was the official start of Bobby Harvey Video Productions. I actually started it a few years before I actually got this YouTube channel in 2005. So in June, that'll be the 20th anniversary of pretty much what I've been doing on this YouTube channel. And even before that, I made my first DVD in 2005. So I have a lot of new things planned for this year. Maybe uploading some old videos, maybe doing some different types of videos, kind of branching out a little bit and trying some new things. So be on the lookout for all of that, which I'll talk about in future streams if you have more time tonight. But we really don't have any more time tonight. Going a little longer than I originally anticipated. So, well, Dakota says you can't really understand what I'm saying. Well, I haven't moved the whole night. Huh, strange. Is it any better? Okay, A-Train says he can understand it. Okay, well, anyways, I'll let you guys know all the future plans I have for my 20th anniversary, 20 years on Bobby Harvey Video Productions later on this year, future streams. For now, we're going to go ahead and end things. Now, I'll obviously let you guys know when the next stream is going to be and what it's going to be. We'll probably do this Amtrak stuff for a while, maybe do some more rail fanning later on. We'll see how it goes. But for now, it's getting late, so we're going to go ahead and end the stream tonight. So thank you guys for watching. We got to see Amtrak as well as a couple of bonus freights here in Ottumwa. So farewell for tonight, and we will see you on down the line here on the Bobby Harvey Video Productions YouTube channel. This is Bobby Harvey saying so long for now, and we'll see you next time.